Right, so in this video I'm going to have a look at the Junior Certificate Higher Level Paper 1 for 2018, and I'm just going to have a look at question 1. So this is a number patterns type of question, and part A just asks us to look at this particular pattern here that starts with 1 and 7, and it says that only one linear pattern begins with 1 and 7, and we're asked to fill in the three boxes below so that the numbers form this linear pattern. Well, if we look at the numbers here, we've got 1 and 7, and then we've got three other numbers here. Now, linear patterns have what's called a common difference. In other words, the first difference, or the difference between each term, is the same. So if we take these two terms here, the difference between these two terms here is the second one minus the first one, which is plus 6. So in other words, our common difference here is plus 6. So in each case we want to be adding 6 to each term. So if we were to add 6 here again, we would just get 13. So our next term here would be 13. So that's what would go in here, 13. If we look at the next term then again we're just going to be adding 6. Our common difference is 6 here. So if you add 6 to 13, you're going to get 19. So that's our next term here. So 19 is going to go in here. And then finally we've got one more to do. So we're just going to add 6. We're going to add 6 here to 19. So I'm going to add 6 here to 19, and that will give us 25. So our final term here is 25. And that's it really. So let's look at the next part. This is part B, and here it says many different quadratic patterns begin with 1 and 7. Fill in the three boxes below so that the numbers form a quadratic pattern. So in this particular case we're going to look at 1, 7, and then we got to work out the next three terms. Now for quadratic patterns we know that the second difference has to be the same. So the first difference here is going to be different. So our first difference here, as we found out previously, is plus 6. Now we know that for quadratic patterns this can't be plus 6 here, it must be something different, so that the second difference down here remains the same all the way along. Well, let's pick an easy one here. Let's go up by 1. So let's say plus 7 here, which would give me a plus 1 of a second difference. These are our first differences here. These are going to be my second differences along here. So my second difference here is going to be plus 1 each time. And if you work that backwards, you don't necessarily have to do it this way, but if we take our second difference is going to be plus 1, well, that means this difference up here now must be plus 8, which would mean that, well, by the way, this one up here, if we add 7 to this 7 to this 7 here, we'll get 14. And if we take this plus 8 here and add it to this 14, that'll give me 22 here. 22. So let's just do that again. We need three extra numbers here. We have our 14 here. We have 22 here. We need one more to go in here. So let's do this again. So we're going to take our second difference as plus 1. So we're going to have a plus 1 here. So that means this first difference here must be 1 plus 8, which is plus 9. So we're adding 9 here to this number, and that will give us 9 and 22 then, which is just 31. So this final number here could be 31. Now if we decided here that our second difference was going to be plus 2, we would get a different three numbers here. I'll just do that very quickly here. If we start with 1 and 7, we got to work out our next three numbers. Well, our first difference here is going to be plus 6. And let's then just say that our second difference is not plus 1 this time. Let's say it's plus 2. And then you go through the whole process again. Our first difference here would be plus 8 now, because 6 plus 2 will give me 8. And then I would just add 8 to 7. So I would add 8 to 7, so that's 7, 7, 14, 1, 15 here. And you just continue on, and you get a different set of numbers. Instead of 14 here, we get 15. So let's go again here. We're going to add plus 2 here. So that will give me 8 plus 2, which is plus 10 first difference. So our next number up here would be 10 plus 15, which is 25. So this number here would be 25. And then just finally we could say add 2 again here at the end. So that means we would be adding 12 here. So that would give me 25 plus 12. So 25, 35, that would give me 37 here. So we get 3 different numbers here, a different quadratic sequence here. And that's really it for question 1.